Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and all the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. We're spending a lot more time indoors this year. Why not enjoy it with a Real Virginia Christmas tree? I've got a feeling you're going to enjoy this black eyed peas dish from Chef Tammy. And head into peanut country and more as we visit Suffolk in our next agricultural close-up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay. Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you from Johnson & Sons Seafood along Chuckatuck Creek in Suffolk. We're going to take a closer look at agriculture and aquaculture here later in the show. But first, Christmas tree growers are hoping for a strong season after a difficult year. Ricky Gibson has our report.
Raising Christmas trees is a part-time job for most growers, but it's all hands on deck the day after Thanksgiving when families head to the woods to choose the perfect tree. It will be a different type of season for Virginia choose and cut growers who've struggled with wet weather on top of COVID-19 restrictions. As long as there's pretty weather, they expect to be slammed.
We're pretty booked up. My wish would be that everybody would be safe. They would come out here and have a great experience, or go to our tree lot and have a good experience, but foremost that they would be safe and be protected and just have a wonderful Christmas season with their tree or wreath.
There's a few things we're not offering this year that we have in the past, such as hot chocolate, cookies. Obviously with the coronavirus, that entails a whole different set of issues, so we decided not to go with that because we thought it was going to be too cumbersome to try to take care of that. We're still selling wreaths. We're selling garland as well, 20-foot rolls of garland. I do have 7 varieties of trees that I sell. The trees behind me here are my Norway spruce. They're one of my better sellers. My white pines are my other ones that are longer needles, but I also have some Colorado blue spruce. I have a few Scotch pines, a few Canadian firs, and then I have 2 different types of cypress, which are drawing more and more attention from people.
All the farms are doing something a little bit different. Some are doing ticketed sales, some are doing appointments, some are doing things a little bit differently. Not many farms have closed, and that's a really good thing because they're still open, realizing, yeah, they still got to make a profit. They're still going to have bills to pay next year. So, we all have to be in it for that part too. But I think, still offering a fresh tree is really important to all of us as Christmas tree growers.
Like all farmers, Christmas tree growers are at the mercy of the weather. Mother Nature was a little too generous with rainfall this year, but it's working out.
People always think rain is good, rain is good. They're just like anything else. Trees are just like any other living organism. They don't like extremes, and this year has been an extremely wet year.
The trees are beautiful. We've had a lot of rain, and anytime you have a lot of rain, late summer, early fall, you're going to have a lot of moisture in that tree, and that's what we need going into the selling season. So the trees are really beautiful this year.
It can take close to a decade to raise a 7-foot tall Christmas tree. So growers need a fair amount of land and a lot of faith that their work will pay off years in the future.
We actually were strictly a wholesale farm back in the 60s when we started out, and we started picking up some customers in the county here, and so we ended up, the choose and cut built up, and actually it wasn't until after my dad passed away in '93, it was like '94, when I started making our first wreaths, and just to see how well they did, and it really started to take off. So
it takes about a foot a year. So for a 6 to 7 foot tree, you're looking at 7 years. 8-footer, about 8 years. So it's about a foot a year. So you got to remember that new grower just planting their first trees, they've got to wait 7 to 8 years before they have a crop at all. And that's a long time. That's a long time to invest in equipment and the seedlings and everything that goes along with growing a tree.
I want to try to get more trees, but you know, there's such a long lead time that, you know, what I'm planting now is, you know, 2031, 32, 2032. I mean, that's a long time. Is the market still going to be that good then? I have no idea. So you're always behind the curve and there's no way to catch up.
A freshly cut Christmas tree is both pleasing to the senses and environmentally sound. Growers typically plant multiple trees to replace each one that is harvested, and there are ways to repurpose them after the holidays.
A lot of people will take that tree, recycle it at their landfill, but more and more people are putting them in the woods and decorating them with cones and suet and peanut butter on cones and letting the birds feed there during the winter, and they'll stay green pretty much the whole winter. So they're really providing a good benefit for that. Also, fishermen love to take them, bundle them up, and put them in a pond in their great fish habitat. So that tree keeps on giving on and on. Now, in terms of replenishing, most Christmas tree growers will go in and plant another tree or 2 or 3 trees for every one that's cut.
It's very fulfilling, and even if I didn't make any money off it, which I really, in the last few years when I really did start making any money, it was just sort of breaking even before, I would still do it just for the pleasure of it. So, I mean, it really makes you feel good when you see some smiles on the kid's face and you see the family is having a good time.
You know, whether it's at your farmer's market or coming to a choose and cut farm or buying at a tree lot, it means a lot to support us even in a year where we've all got difficulties.
In a year where so many traditions have been turned upside down or had to be canceled, Virginia Christmas tree growers are hoping to bring back a little bit of normalcy and some holiday cheer. I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
Demand for fresh-cut Christmas trees is very strong in 2020 as consumers are eager for fun family activities and fewer families are traveling for the holidays. Most Christmas tree growers also raise other crops or hold other jobs, and a popular type of Christmas tree operation is a choose and cut farm. Some tree farms raise thousands of Christmas trees for wholesale to home centers, grocery stores, and roadside lots. White pine is the most commonly planted species in Virginia, followed by the sturdier Scotch pine.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about how to close down the garden for the winter from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
It's December and the growing season is definitely over. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension visits a master gardener with some tips on how to prepare your garden for winter from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're in Henrico County, Virginia. We're here with Mrs. Grace Harrison. And Grace, thank you for letting us come out today to your garden.
Welcome. I enjoy having you here.
We're going to talk a little bit about what you do to close down your garden for the winter time. Because a lot of people are out there, you know, it's starting to get cold and really cold, and they might kind of figure out what they can do right now to make their life a little bit easier in the springtime. So I notice you've got things like raised beds. A lot of people do that. What do you do when you're looking at your raised beds to kind of get them ready for the winter?
I try to get all the debris out that I can. If I've seen any insects that, or any of the products that I grew, like the tomatoes or beans or radishes or whatever, I try to get all of the debris of that out, check to see if there's any insects or diseases, because you don't want that going into the compost pile. The other you could put in the compost pile.
Now we see some of these containers right here that you're growing things in. A lot of people are growing vegetables in containers on their deck or patio. So is it worth cleaning these pots and things up and storing them somewhere for the winter time?
It is. It's especially important to do that for several reasons. Again, either insects could have been in there and laid eggs in them. Some of your products that you buy and you use will be things that might crack if the soil stays in it and gets wet. and then it freezes, it could crack them. So yeah, it's a very good idea to take anything out.
There's lots of hand tools that gardeners have and rakes and things like that. Is it a good time to kind of get those cleaned up and put away?
Most definitely, because most of the time you're not going to be using your tools during the winter months, and so you don't want them to set with the dirt on it or debris.
Grace, is this a good time of the year to do soil tests?
This is a great time, Chris, to do a soil test on your raised bed garden, because it will help you to know if you've got the right nutrients in the soil for growing things.
Okay, and how can somebody get one of those soil tests done?
Your local extension office is a great resource to look into, and they will have examples for you and suggestions of what you can do.
Some people will put cover crops down like clover and rye and things. Is that worthwhile to do in the garden?
That's very worthwhile, because that will keep you from having to buy chemicals and so forth. You will be able to just put it down and see it grow, and then till it in or cut it back so that it doesn't seed right away once it comes up.
Well, Grace, we've talked about cleaning out the beds. I know there's lots of leaves this time of year. Do you clean those out of your beds also?
Where I have perennials planted, I like to leave the leaves because it gives it a little bit extra something on top that keeps the cold from getting to the roots as much, and it also puts nutrients back into the soil because they will decay over time. There may be certain areas that you wouldn't want leaves, but it's very beneficial for the winter time.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Grace, thank you so much for letting us come by today and talk about all these different things you can do to clean the garden up. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Well, for more information about closing down your garden for the winter, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener like Grace. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Coming up on Heart of the Home, a New Year's Eve tradition, black-eyed peas and stewed tomatoes. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
It's a Southern tradition to serve black-eyed peas on New Year's Day. Chef Tammy Brawley has her unique twist on this popular dish in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley with The Green Kitchen. We're here with a special outdoor edition of Virginia Heart of the Home at Old Tavern Farm in New Kent. Today we're going to do a special New Year's Eve tradition here in Virginia. We're going to do black-eyed peas and stewed tomatoes. We've got two things that are going to take about the equal amount of time, and so we're going to get those started. I'm going to show you guys how to use a pressure cooker or an Instapot, and then we're going to stew the tomatoes in a little saute pan here. So we'll start with the stewed tomatoes. You want to start with 2 tomatoes that you've cored, and you want to peel them. I actually use a serrated peeler to do this. It's a great little tool to have. We'll peel tomatoes, and we'll peel the rest of this. And you might notice I've already cored them. Got just a touch of water in there, maybe about 1/4 of an inch deep. You want to add the tomatoes whole to your saucepan. Then you want to add some sugar, some finely chopped onion, and some finely chopped celery. And that's it. Maybe a little salt and pepper, I should say. And you want to start your burner on high, and this is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes. So while that's going, we'll start our Instapot or pressure cooker. When I was young, my mom used to use a pressure cooker, and I would be terrified to go into the kitchen. That little thing would rock, and I just knew it was going to blow up. But pressure cookers today are a lot safer, and this is an Instapot, which is technically used as a pressure cooker. It's got a pressure cook setting on it. And whenever you work with dried beans, you always want to soak them overnight or put them in a pressure cooker. It takes about half as much time. And we're going to go ahead and add our peas. Add just a little bit of olive oil. We've got a bay leaf and some garlic and some onion. And it's important that you add a little piece of a fat to that. You have a little piece of a ham hock or a piece of side meat, add that to this Instapot as well, or pressure cooker. You got about 2 cups of water or so. And now you want to put the lid on. It locks into place. There's that safety issue. This does not rock like my mother's used to. Now it's on pressure cook already. Takes about 10 minutes or so for it to come up to pressure, but then it only takes about 5 minutes to actually cook the peas. So we're going to let that go. And our tomatoes are cooking, and we'll be back in a little bit. All right, we're back, and our tomatoes have cooked down just beautifully. If they're still really thick and chunky, you can go in at it with a pair of scissors, and you want to get in there and just kind of chop the tomatoes up a little bit. I wouldn't go too much because you do want to leave a little bit of chunky nature for your dish. And what we're going to do here is we're going to actually move the tomatoes off and let them rest, and we are going to warm up a little bit of olive oil in a saute pan, and we're going to saute off some beautiful kale that we have here. It's always great to put these black-eyed peas and stewed tomatoes on a bed of greens. You can use collards if you'd like. Right at this time, I really love using this beautiful kale. And we're not going to cook them to death. We're just going to saute them up lightly and get a nice little green color. While that kale is cooking down a little bit, we'll go ahead and open the peas. We're going to make sure that it is vented. We'd not be able to open this if it was not released. And sure enough, it's still locked. The pressure is not released. So I am going to go ahead and release the pressure. And you see, I'm not running out of the kitchen like I did when I was a kid. And there it is. I can open it. We're going to pop the lid off. And there's those delicious peas. Give it a little stir, check on them. Oh, gosh, that smells good. So now we've got our nice, delicious kale that we've sauteed a little bit. Let's put it on the bottom of a serving dish. Get some peas out of our pressure cooker here. And all those onions and bay leaf. Now they say the tradition behind New Year's is that you eat 365 peas, 1 pea for every day of the year for good luck. I don't know if I can quite get down 365, but I'd be willing to try. Now we're going to add these tomatoes that we've stewed. Beautiful dish. And there you have it, black-eyed peas and stewed tomatoes over sauteed kale. Happy New Year's Eve. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley with the Green Kitchen. See you next time on Virginia Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website, greenkitchenrichmond.com.
From simmered collard greens to pecan pie, Southern cooks are world famous for delicious holiday meals. Black-eyed peas are just one dish that's unique to the region. Roast turkey may be the main course elsewhere, but country-style ham dates back to colonial Virginia. Roast pork, tenderloin, and even shrimp and grits are also popular on some Southern holiday tables. Classic cornbread dressing is one option. In Eastern Virginia, it's traditional to add oysters to the dish. Corn pudding is also common, along with another Southern specialty, spoon bread. Winter squash, sweet potato, and green bean casseroles are also popular.
The northern edge of the city of Suffolk is where watermen catch oysters, crabs, and other treats of the tidewater area. But Suffolk farmers focus on row crops once you go inland. In fact, it was once known as the peanut capital of the country. Located in southeastern Virginia's Tidewater region, rural Suffolk isn't actually a county. It's part of a city. The area was originally known as Nansemond County, with the city of Suffolk located in the middle. In the 1970s, the city began annexing parts of the county until it finally annexed all of Nansemond County. The entire area is now known as the city of Suffolk.
It's endlessly confusing to everyone.
Shelley Butler Barlow has been farming in Suffolk for some 25 years. She and her husband primarily grow cotton, along with soybeans and feed corn. Their land has been a working farm since the 1700s.
Suffolk's an interesting region of, the state. We're very different. I mean, Southampton, Isle of Wight, this whole maybe 7 or 8 counties in this part of the state. Our agriculture is very different from the rest of the state. We're growing cotton, we're growing peanuts. And that doesn't happen when you go very far west or very far north of here.
Suffolk was once known as the peanut capital of the country, with a major processing company headquartered downtown. And while other areas now have that distinction, peanut farming is still an important part of the county's agricultural mix. Dale Holland has been farming peanuts for nearly all of his 70 years, along with corn, soybeans, wheat, and cotton. He says 2020 has been a difficult year for farming, but that's due more to Mother Nature than the pandemic.
We started out in the spring, extremely wet and cold. July got extremely hot and dry, and then it started getting wet again. So we've had to deal with that type thing this year more than normal.
Holland and his son are part of the longtime community in Suffolk who enjoy farm work, even though it's hard. It's a lifestyle many here embrace and find rewarding.
Being in the outdoors, watching things grow, making things grow, being good stewards of the land, learning how to take care of the land, and ultimately endeavoring to do better with each and every crop.
Suffolk has a total of 270 farms spread out over 79,035 acres. The average size of a farm is 293 acres, a 30% increase from 2012. The market value of all agricultural products is $53,741,000. Crops are dominant in Suffolk, with dry beans such as peanuts and soybeans coming in at $14,956,000, while nursery, greenhouse, floriculture, and sod delivered $14,933,000. Hay and other crops accounted for $6,138,000. Livestock amounted to $8,502,000. Poultry and eggs sold $6,742,000. Geographically, Suffolk is Virginia's largest city, although the population is much lower than those of other metro areas of the state. While there certainly have been plenty of changes over the years, Griffin is optimistic about what technology can do for his farming operations.
In my lifetime, it's probably been one of the greatest times in the history of mankind to be involved in agriculture. The technology that we've seen evolve in my lifetime has been enormous and pretty intense, very productive. And I think with what I know of what's in the technology pipeline, what we've seen in the last 20 years is probably going to be doubled or tripled in the next 10.
Griffin says he's especially excited about advances in GPS technology that can help farmers like him pinpoint where to fertilize and also help work equipment and reduce operator fatigue. Some signs of Nansemond County's legacy are still visible. For example, the Virginia Farm Bureau still uses Nansemond to identify its local office here. Richard Gwaltney is serving his second term as County Farm Bureau president when he's not looking after his small herd of cattle.
There's some good neighbors out here. It's generally go down the road, everybody waves at each other. We seem to know each other, to look after each other's property. I move calves back and forth across the road, graze cattle on both sides of the road, and people will stop. Some of them want to help you.
Aquaculture is also an important part of Suffolk. Ben Johnson is a waterman based at his family's business on Chuckatuck Creek in the northern part of the county. He harvests mostly oysters and crabs and has also seen the impact of growth on his business.
Condemnation of the oyster beds because of sewage and other things have limited the potential that we could reach if we had open access to them.
Despite that, Johnson loves what he does and feels lucky to be able to do it day in and day out.
I enjoy being outside. I enjoy, I guess, essentially working for myself. I enjoy the time that I've had to work with my father as a business partner and the time that we've got to spend.
Like his landlocked friends, Johnson is happy to make a living working outdoors instead of behind a desk. Whether on the water or on land, that's a sentiment echoed by many of the producers in Suffolk. They continue to make agriculture and aquaculture an important way of life here for generations to come. We're so glad you could join us to help celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your lawn and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. From everyone at the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching and make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.